Songbird's defection definitely changed the complexion of the Oaks and probably doubled the size of the field. While the field here is not as big as the Derby, the run to the first turn is shorter, and post position and running style make a difference. Every path on every turn is worth the length of the finish, which in turn is worth a half a Thoro-Graph point. In other words, a horse lapped outside another on both turns has to run a point better to break even. Katherine Sophia hasn't gotten nearly enough attention. She came out running gigantic figures for a young filly, and in fact her first four were all faster than Songbird has ever run. Her last wasn't as good, and it's tough to tell why that was. It was her first try around 2 turns, but it's also true that horses that come out right away with very big figures usually tail off. Either way, it's tough to know what she'll do now. But the 2 fillies that beat her last time and others may go off shorter than her, and she comes into this as the fastest horse, so she's a must-use. The Thraki Queen got good late at 2, and we don't hold that stinker on grass last time against her. This one could well run a new top, but she has a lot of lengths to make up. Dream Dance got better at the end of the year as a 2-year-old, which usually leads to good things as a 3-year-old. But it hasn't happened, at least not yet. She hasn't gotten better and would have to improve a lot to contend. Go Maggie Go ran okay in her debut, then moved forward when sent 2 turns last time in the slot. There are other fillies as fast and faster here, but Roman's horses are running very well the last month, and this filly is lightly raced, so she's a contender. Landover Sea got down to a good one behind Songbird last fall, but bounced badly in the Breeders' Cup. She was a weak second behind the champ in her first 2 starts this year, then jumped way forward last time at Fairgrounds. A repeat of that effort would give her a good shot here, and she has had 6 weeks to recover. But that was a big jump, and we don't like the way she reacted to her top last year. As one of the favorites, we're inclined to view her glass as half empty. Lewis Bay has a couple of fast siblings. She jumped to a new top in her first start this year, then moved forward again last time to a level that makes her a strong contender here. In this case, the forward move was not so great as to make us think she has to bounce. And Chad Brown's runners tend to bounce less often in general. He also instructs his riders to be patient and save ground, which is an added bonus. Maud D'Amour has slow figures and a weak pattern. She'll need to run against much softer to compete. Mocat established a moderate top last year and wasn't able to break through that level until last time. Even that figure wasn't that good, but since it was a second behind Songbird, she'll take a little play. One interesting pedigree point, though this filly is a router, not a single one of her 9 siblings ran well going long. Paola Queen was very slow last year, got a lot better this winter, then backed up slightly trying 2 turns. This one is in range of being competitive, but she's already developed so much that further short-term improvement is unlikely. Rachel's Valentina came out running last year, but didn't develop thereafter. In the Ashland, she ran a new top, and since Pletcher ran her long off the layoff in a grade 1, we have to believe he had her as fit as he could. That makes it less likely she'll go forward now. There's a good chance she'll do what she did last year, which is pair up, and that would put her in the mix, plus or minus ground loss. But she'll be overbet because of her human and equine connections, so she's an underlay. Royal Obsession has moved gradually forward and is borderline competitive on number power here. There's a good chance she'll pair up, and she's about 50-50 to go forward again, which makes her somewhat usable in exotics at a price. Taxable had a long layoff following her debut, presumably because of soundness issues. Her last wasn't as good as it looked. She got weight and saved ground relative to the winner. It was also a big new top, and she's more likely to go back than forward. Terra Promessa moved steadily forward before jumping to a big one, 2 back, then bounced for the first time last time. But even that one was pretty good, as she spotted weight and ground loss to the runner-up. It's possible this might be an 0-2 that's going to be followed by an X, meaning a top, then a small backward move, leading to a bad race. But young stake horses don't run too many X's, and as much as horses have started firing recently, this one will probably run well, and she's fast enough to matter. Venus Valentine is too slow to compete here. Weep No More combined a big jump with a ground-saving trip to win the Ashland, but she didn't earn as good a figure as Rachel's Valentina did. She would have to run better to make an impact here, and she's more likely to bounce. The Oaks draw made a big difference. It makes it pretty clear how to play the race. We're not going to try to pick the winner. We're going to try to get it down to a small number of fillies to use in the exotics. We start out with not liking Weep No More or Land Over Sea, both of whom will take money. We were on the fence about Rachel's Valentina, but the bad draw makes us not use her except possibly underneath in tries and supers. Not only is it a bad post, but at this point in his career, Velasquez makes very little attempt to save ground from outside posts, and this filly could easily spot 4 lengths or 2 Thoro-Graph points to one's inside. Katherine Sophia also drew outside, but she starts out a lot faster if she fires and gets Castellano, who is super conscious of saving ground. We have to use a filly with the 4 best numbers, though we really have no idea what figure she'll run. The 2 that we liked that also drew very well were Terra Promessa and Lewis Bay. Both are trained and ridden by guys who care about saving ground, and both are very likely to get into the trifecta and have a good shot to win. For those that want to spread more in exotics, the only others we would consider are Go Maggie Go, Royal Obsession, and Paola Queen, who should save ground on the lead. But the ones we have to use are Terra Promessa, Lewis Bay, and Katherine Sophia.